Welcome to the Lloyd Health Revolution podcast. I am your host, Coach Tamika, and it is my pleasure to bring you one of my very good friends in the whole wide world, LaJune Singleton. Ooh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy, y'all. But let me tell you a little bit about this fabulous woman over here. All right. Now I got to clear my throat because it's a lot for me to say. All right. She is a board-certified health and wellness coach, mind strategist, nutritional lifestyle coach, podcaster, cycling instructor, and personal trainer with over 10 years of experience working with busy career and retiree women in the areas of obesity, fitness, chronic illness, mindset, nutrition, wellness, mental and physical health, and injury recovery. And she is also the author of one of my best books. I got it right here, pow! Releasing My Trauma, The Root of Self-Sabotage. Welcome, LaJune, and thank you for taking some time out of your busy day to be here, because I know you're doing everything. I see you everywhere, every article, podcast, everything. So I love your book, and I want to start with your book. And I love it for a variety of reasons. One of which I could relate. So tell me, this was a difficult book, I would imagine, to write. Why did you decide to write it?
I went to Bali in 2019 and for a retreat. So of course that was therapeutic release of my past. So to really put a stamp on it, I wrote the book, which basically says, I'm letting go, I'm forgiving all these people, I'm keeping this in my past, and I'm moving forward, because there's so many people that suffer from molestation, from grief, from abandonment issue, from suicidal ideation, and financially, it's a lot of people that have killed themselves because they lost money. Relationship issues, carrying your past over to your job, your everyday life, and being stuck in a certain age, because we're all stuck in a certain age that we just don't realize until it's that aha moment. Okay, I'm still that 6-year-old, or I'm still that 12-year-old, or that 15-year-old, or whatever age.
The pandemic and how tough it was, right, for the past almost 2 years.
Wow.
For us to adjust.
Do you hear that? Or is it just me that has like this feedback? I don't know what that is, nor do I know where it's coming from. I have no idea. So I thought it was me. I'm like, why am I hearing stuff? So I don't know. But we just gonna try to get through that as best as we can with technical difficulties over here. There ain't nothing but the devil. We talking knowledge over here. The devil want to have voices come out of wherever. I don't know. But oh my goodness. Well, I was happy to read your book because so many women, I think the last statistic that I read, and this was a few years ago, talking about abuse, and more specifically sexual abuse, and saying, happens in 1 in 5 girls and like 1 in 10 boys. And some people don't recover, some people commit suicide. Some people just let their anger take a hold of them. And when I was reading parts of your story, you guys, you got to get the book, because there are so many of what I call, Black golden nuggets in here that if you've ever experienced abuse, you would be like, oh my God. So that wasn't only me that was self-destructing. You recognize patterns in your life. For me, reading your book, you talk a lot about the people and the people that abused you and not being believed. So could you talk to us a little bit about that? Like how growing up, you not being believed by basically someone that was supposed to protect you. Like how did you get over that? Did you get over it? Or do you still harbor some, ill feelings?
So that point of telling my mom that my cousin was bothering me, and not being heard, I stopped being vulnerable. I stopped opening up about what was going on. And I was extremely private. It was, if you didn't ask me, I'm not telling you. I'm not, offering any information to you. So it went on for years that I was not vulnerable. I wasn't open. I was in relationships and I would hear, you're not really opening up to me. Like, okay, this is what you get. Take what you get. And literally somebody told me in 2020, I started to become a little more vulnerable and a little more open. But it was a challenge for me because at that point, it was kind of like, I really have to trust you. Mm. And I really have to, feel comfortable enough to give you a part of me, because that's a part of me. Any information about me is a part of me that I'm offering to you. So how you received it, that's important. If you don't listen to me, it's a wrap. I'm not going to tell you anything else. Mm-hmm, because if you're not hearing me, and I was in a relationship like that, where I wasn't being heard, and I stopped talking.
Yeah.
So it is still a work in progress. Definitely, I'm open to, I'm always listening to people because that's what I do and that's my job. So I have to be mindful and pay attention when I'm talking to someone and their response to me. I can tell if they're listening or not, because I'll stop talking and I'm like, okay, you're not listening.
That's a good defense mechanism. When you go through something and you don't feel like you're being heard, it's like, well, why talk? Either that, or you feel like, I know for me, it was, you always have to feel like, or act like, you feel okay, because nobody want to hear it. So you're like, oh, well, I heard, okay, yeah, everything is fine. And deep down, you you may be cutting yourself and people don't know it, or you may be starving yourself or comforting yourself with food. But to the outside world, you're okay. And I think for women, we always want to make everybody else okay, even when we're not okay. And seeing your patterns with the relationships, and one part, it was like, you know what, if I think I'm getting too close, or if they getting too close to me, nope, gotta go.
Yeah, we can be friends, because I literally said to my current ex, we were together for 4 years, and I remember before we got into a relationship, I said, if you're not happy and I'm not making you happy, then I'm good with us being friends. The person before that ex said to me, you treat me like you treat all your friends. I'm like, yeah, because you are in the friend zone. I love you. And there's difference because, I'm not having sex with my friends. I'm only having sex with you. I'm having intimate moments with you, but you're safer in that zone.
Yeah, because that way, if you're in that zone, then if you do disappoint me, or if you do hurt me intentionally or not, it's kind of easier to bounce back, because you're not giving all of you. You're just, okay, this is my friend zone and this is where I stop. So, I was like that. So I know I often tell people, when I got married to my husband, it was like, okay, I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. It's going to drop sooner or later. You just wait. It's about 16 years and it still ain't dropped. But I finally stopped saying, I finally stopped saying that the shoe was going to drop, because I'm like, oh, I guess this is how he is. All right, he lucky.
I'm about to wrap it up and find somebody new, because I've seen the pattern and already know what I've dealt with. So yeah.
Yeah. So I read in your book, I know you were very close to your dad. You was definitely a daddy's girl. And I know when he died, that affected you tremendously. And, I know it was a long time ago when he died, but I also know that time does not heal all wounds as quickly as one would think. And I know for me, it's not. I still wish my dad was here. Did you feel like in relationships that no one was ever good enough because you were so used to your, daddy's love, and that's just a bond between a father and a daughter, and the way you look up to your daddy, it's like, my daddy wouldn't do that. Did you find yourself doing that in relationships, not really comparing but comparing?
I'm very in tune. So when it comes to, I pay attention to what someone says, to what someone does. So if we weren't even dating, it was like the first date we went on. And this guy said to me, I don't even know what happened. He was like, yeah, don't make me take my boot off and beat you with it. That was a wrap. Yeah, didn't talk to him again. I remember one time I was in college and this guy we were at my apartment and this guy threw a piece of paper at me. I jumped over the table and we were fighting.
Oh my God.
I don't play those games because I've seen my sister growing up being in abusive relationships. And my dad, I never witnessed that with my dad. So that's not something that I tolerate. I don't tolerate you verbally disrespecting me or physically disrespecting me. So that is something that I look at when it comes to even giving you the option to date. It's those things. That's very important to me because, like I said, my dad, I think he whooped me one time the whole time he was alive because I was being disrespectful to my mom. And I know I was. I don't remember what happened verbatim, but I did something. I remember doing something. And that was the first and only time he whooped me. But guys that I've dated, some guys have been really sweet. Some guys have been really, catering and spoiling and all that. So I would say I look at that and I don't have to have that. I mean, that's great and everything, but my dad spoiled me. So yeah.
That's right, Daddy. Nothing was too good for his girl. So nothing at all. Whatever my baby want, my baby got. So
and that was true because I said in the book, I remember in the family reunion, they had these ugly green shirts with white stripes right here. And I was like, I'm not wearing that. He literally took me to the store, bought me a shirt and put LaJune on the back of it. It was purple, my favorite color.
I read that and I said, she's so bratty. Look at her. Her daddy was like, oh, my baby don't want that. All right, baby, don't worry. I got you.
My baby said she ain't wearing this, so I'm
getting wearing this.
Yeah. Everybody got this ugly green shirt on. I got this purple shirt
on. The purple one. I can see your family looking at you now like, see, look at this. Yes, look at us. See, and that's very hard when you're so used to having that relationship, with your dad. And then, one day, how he died, tragically. And then one day they're not there. So I know you had to feel, I would imagine, a sense of abandonment. And I know that had to, be hard to deal with because your daddy wasn't there anymore.
Yeah. And I didn't even know the abandonment part until I went to Bali. And Shanoa pointed it out. Shanoa was the facilitator. And she pointed out, she was like, you went through abandonment issues. You're still going through abandonment issues, because that's why you put that wall up when it comes to people, because the fear of being abandoned.
And you know what? It makes sense when the number one person in your life leaves. It doesn't matter if it's not like he wanted to leave. It's not like, he left you and he's somewhere out there in the world, but you still, think of it as abandonment. And so you try not to let anybody get in that space in your heart, because I'll speak for myself, because I used to feel like they'll leave me, rather through death or just walk out or whatever. They'll just leave me. So I'm not going to put my all out there. I'm going to keep you in that friend zone like LaJune did.
The thing of it is, it was, like I said in the book, after he died, I didn't see my dad's side of the family much, or not at all anymore. It may have been maybe once a year. I had an aunt that would come down from California, and she would majority stay at my house. Then people would come over then, but other than that, no. I had an aunt that used to, before I got to teenage years, I would go stay with her in the summertime. And other than that, it was just kind of like, I didn't see cousins. I didn't go to family reunions because my mom doesn't drive. So it was, only time I did something was through school or church or through friends. And it was just kind of like, wow, it is that total abandonment. You watch Cosby Show and different shows and you see all the family together for holidays. That wasn't the case. It was just my mom, my sister, and my mom's sister and her family. And it wasn't that many of them. And I never really wanted to go over there. So it was that situation.
Okay, that's
yeah.
Family. How is your relationship with your mom now after all of this? I'm sure I know you've forgiven her, because
I have forgiven her. I love my mom, and as I said in the book, I don't know what her upbringing looked like and what it was. And that's something that I had to learn and keep in mind, because people go through certain things, and it could be an experience of where she grew up. And I know she did tell me that her sister had appendicitis and she was throwing up and she was sick, and she told my grandmother she was sick. My grandmother ignored it. A friend came and said, take that baby to the hospital, she's sick. She could have died. So I just look at that example of, you visually saw that your child was sick, of being ignored and not being heard. So I love her. We talk at least once or twice a week. Well, let me rephrase that. I listen to her talk once or twice a week. Now I get a word in every now and again, but yeah.
Well, I'm happy that you have forgiven your mother, and I'm happy that you have a healthy relationship with her now, because at least you have her. Some people don't have that, and like you said, you don't know what her past was or what her story was. And I think how you put it in the book was something like, she did the best that she could with what she knew. And number one, that takes a big person to say that when you went through what you went through. But I'm very happy that you guys have a relationship where you get to hear her talk times a week.
And being okay with hearing her talk, because it is some people like, okay, I don't want to hear her. I don't want to, I don't want that. So, and like you said earlier, it's a lot of people that go through different things, and their life is different, where they end up in prostitution or alcoholism or drugs or, you know, either just having sex with random people, because it is that sensation. Because for years, I had an ex say to me, it seems like all you want to do is have sex. And a therapist told me, once you're touched down there, it's that sensation that you want that sensation all the time. And I remember as a kid rubbing myself on stuff, you know, touching myself because it was that sensation. And it took for that therapist and that ex to tell me that. And I was like, I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it happened to you so young, so you just reacted. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't
Right.
know that that's what it was, you know, from, or that's what it was
Right.
about. Was there a pivotal moment where you were just like, you know what, I'm self-destructing, I have to get help, or were things just gradual, not working out, you know, life sucks kind of thing, and you said, okay, I want to get help? Because I know sometimes, especially in the Black communities, growing up in the 80s and 90s, it's like you can't say therapist. Nope, don't go to therapists. Therapists are the best people to go to. I'm just telling y'all, everybody should have a good therapist. Got mine on speed dial because y'all know I'm crazy. So, was there something that happened, or did you just say to yourself, you know what, it's time for some help?
I remember when I was younger, I wanted therapy because I wanted to talk about the grief and the molestation. My mom was sending my sister to therapy for whatever reason, but she never put me into therapy. When I was sexually assaulted, the therapist called me to work with me, and I was at a friend's house, and my friend was like, I think you should go. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And something happened where I got so upset. I was on pain meds to sleep. But I couldn't, and muscle relaxers, and I couldn't wake up from it. I'm having nightmares and I can't wake up from it. And it was just something that set me off. I punched a hole in the wall, and something said, you need help. So I went to therapy then for the sexual assault because the molestation was coming up. And therapy, you know, I talked to her a lot. I found out about the sensation, which I didn't know. She talked about writing a letter, which I did write a letter. She was like, you can mail it to your mom. You don't have to. You can write one for yourself. And I did mail it to my mom. And the reception of her receiving it wasn't, it was like, okay, well, I don't believe it. He would never do that. So it was just like, oh, okay. And then that anger was still there. I stopped seeing that therapist for a while for whatever reason. And in 2018, something came up and I was very angry. I hated my job that I was at. I was dealing with individuals with HIV, syphilis, and gonorrhea, STDs. And I was so angry. I was financially in a bad place. My relationship wasn't going that great. And I found a therapist. She just wasn't the therapist for me. And my friend invited me to go to Bali with her in 2019. And I was like, this is expensive. It was like 500 something for 6 months, and I'm struggling to pay my bills. So went to Bali. I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna come up with the money to go. Somehow that had to be God, because honestly, I ain't had that money. The money happened. I paid it every month, and I went to Bali, and just that week was life-changing for me. I started listening to like a lot of therapeutic stuff. Lisa Nichols, Oprah, Sonia Riccati. It's called Unsinkable. If anybody hasn't heard of it, definitely check it out. It has like Les Brown and a whole bunch of popular coaches on it, Lisa Nichols. So I started listening to that, and then I started writing my book. And that was the process and the point of me saying, things got to change, because I didn't like being angry. I didn't like that feeling, because I went from 0 to 100. There was no middle. There was no in between. And I was scared of me. That's how bad it was. I was scared of me because I didn't know what I would do. So that was the point where I was like, I don't want to be like this anymore.
That was God, boy. That was God whispering in your ear. That was God, like, you don't worry, you got the money, it's coming, don't even worry about it.
Yeah, because I literally did not. 2017 and 18, 2017 and part of 18, I was doing an internship, wasn't working, was only doing Lyft and Uber Eats. So I wasn't paying bills and having them calling me. My car was in repossession. Me and my ex had to switch cars just so they wouldn't repossess it. And it was just like, I was suicidal. And the first thing that came to my mind, I don't even know why my mom came to my mind. I was like, I don't want her to hurt, knowing that I took my own life. So I was like, something got to give.
Whatever happened to the guy that molested you as a child? Did anything ever happen to him? Did you ever get to confront him? Did you just forgive him from afar? Whatever happened with that?
So in my adult life, I would see him at gas stations and he would give me money. And then I would go to my aunt's house and I would be very combative because I wanted to kill him. And he would say something and I would say something back and I'm like, yo, dude, I will fight you with words. And my mom and aunt and sister looking like, what? No, Negro. And I remember his now ex-wife, his second wife, before they were married, he took her youngest daughter to the car. And I just looked at her and I said, I hope he's not doing the same thing to her. Come to find out, he was. So I heard he has schizophrenia. I haven't seen him since I moved to this area, to DC, Maryland area. So I heard he has schizophrenia. I don't know. But that's a prison in your head. Hey, I'd rather him be in somebody's jail with the prison in his head, but hey. So I know God is handling that. So.
What would you say to someone, man or woman? Because as I said earlier, a lot of men are also molested as children and they don't even say anything because just like some girls think it's their fault or it makes them gay or whatever, what would you actually say to that person who wants to get help but not really sure? They're like, I know I need help, but no, I'm fine. I know I need help, but nah, I can deal with it. Like, what advice would you give to that person that's going through what you were going through?
Get help. Get help, because you are holding on to that. It's still there. It's coming up for you in some way. It comes up in relationships. I remember ex-boyfriend's ex-wife was molested or raped. And he said that she said to him, every time I have sex with you, it's like having sex with my rapist. And you're bringing that over in relationship. Even when you think you're not, you are. It's showing up for you. It's showing up in your behavior and your attitudes. So I would say get help. Get either one-on-one therapy, group counseling. Get the help that you need, because it will change your life.
I definitely agree. You have to get the help because sometimes we're like ticking time bombs, and we get You can kind of cover it up, or you got those peaks and valleys where, you say, okay, I got it. I'm down. It's all right. That's in the past. I got this happen. And I mean, you can last like that for years and think you're okay. And then one thing will happen. It could be a scent. It could be a food. It could be anything. And it's that trigger. And then you're right back in that moment. So I definitely agree. Yeah, you have to get help. You have to tell someone. And if somebody's for any, people, parents out there, listen to your kids, listen to your kids, listen to your kids, because you're supposed to be their protector. And when you don't believe them, that becomes very traumatic for them, for their upbringing, because the one person that is supposed to protect them, they feel like didn't. So you definitely have to get help. And I know you have forgiven, and there is a power in forgiveness. There's a power in that. You hold it on and it's like, I'm gonna have a heart attack. It's a power to forgiveness. But sometimes you need help to work through that forgiveness and letting go. Not forgiveness and holding on, forgiveness and letting go. Do you feel, I know you feel better, you look good, you're in a much healthier space now, you're in a much happier space now, you have all of these great things going for you. Forgiveness. Talk about the power of forgiveness.
Power of forgiveness is, it's not just about forgiving people. You have to forgive yourself first in order for you to be able to forgive others. And that was something that was learned in Bali. It's the Hawaiian song that she played for us or whatever. I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me. And just listening to that and having, the dominant hand over your heart, just like my eyes were watering, that the process of forgiving myself. So forgiveness is powerful. You got to forgive yourself. You got to give yourself grace and mercy. And that's one thing we don't do. We get mad at ourselves in a second when we don't complete our schedule. We call ourselves stupid and dumb and all that. Stop doing that. You're not going to complete everything. You're not going to do everything. Then you're able to pour over to forgive others. And it feels good to forgive people. Because the thing of it is, I remember, I didn't even write it in my book. It was a cousin of mine. We went to college. And I was so angry because I felt that she should have been receptive to me like I was to her in high school, because she was the only one that had a car. So when I needed her to pick me up, it was like, well, that's not my job to pick you up or whatever. I had a grudge for years. And I remember MySpace was out. And I sent her a message on MySpace and I said, I am sorry. I've been holding a grudge against you since college. And I want to apologize to you and ask you for forgiveness. And she was like, I didn't even know you were mad at me. Of course you did, because that was my stuff. So that's the power of it, because the thing of it is, you're holding grudges against people, hoping that they die from rat poison, and you the one dying inside because you so angry and mad. Let it go. Because like she said, I didn't even know. And probably ain't even care. So.
Exactly. We walking around all angry with a chip on our shoulder and grudges, and that person, like you said, don't even know. Or some of them wouldn't even care if they did know. So, oh my goodness. All right, I want to ask you some questions. We're going to get into a little bit of LaJune. Let me see. What is the one thing you'd be really disappointed if you never get to experience?
That's a good one. I would be very disappointed because I love to travel. So I would say I would be very disappointed if I was not able to go to Bora Bora in life.
Ooh. Ooh. I love that. And I do know you love to travel.
I love to travel, and that's, because of the pandemic, that is one of the places on my list of places I want to go. So I'm like, it seems like it's here, but it's so far away because I don't want to be sitting on a plane for hours and hours. So
So I would imagine that's one of the things on your bucket list. Is there anything else on your bucket list?
Meeting Oprah, that's on the list.
Oprah, you're gonna be there soon enough.
Yeah, that's on my list. Yes. And being a speaker at Essence Fest, I would love to do that.
Well, then you're gonna do it. You just spoke it into existence.
Yeah, and that's my home state. So
That's right. So, what better person represent? All right, one more question. During COVID, everybody went through craziness. What is the one thing that you learned about yourself during COVID that you really didn't know beforehand?
I learned that I could be okay with myself, that I didn't need anybody, to continuously to talk to and be around. I learned to love myself and spend time with myself and pay attention to myself. And I learned so much stuff about myself where stuff would come up and I'm like, dang, I learned I had commitment issues. I didn't know that. I mean, I was in relationships and it was like, oh, you do have commitment.
See, COVID taught you something.
COVID taught me a lot. I started my podcast. Me and a friend was talking about me starting a podcast, and I was like, oh, okay, sure. And I actually did. So COVID definitely opened a lot of doors for me and a lot of opportunities. I got to complete my book. I would say, COVID was a good time for me. I know everybody can't say that because, everybody's different, but I think it was necessary because I had COVID. It was necessary for me to sit down and to really get in tune with myself.
I agree. COVID tested a whole lot of people, a whole lot of trials and tribulations during COVID.
And
relationships. And I'm telling you, I'm with you. It was the best time for me to realize that I can be in the house every day with someone and not want to choke the shit out of them means that I'm in love. And that's just what, and I kind of knew that already because, when I first got married, we did spend a lot of time together, but, COVID was different. You were like, man, you couldn't even go nowhere. So I was like, oh, all right, we still married, we even close, yeah. I'm not dead, he's not dead. We just like, yay. So was very happy that COVID was when all the kids were out of the house because then we may be alcoholics, but
yeah, because I was driving by the liquor store we have in Maryland, drive-through liquor stores, and the line would be up the street. It reminded me of Chick-fil-A, but I was just like, it's only 10 o'clock. Why the liquor store open? So yeah, people were getting wasted. People, started smoking weed or doing edibles, and I was just like, I ain't do any of that because, I enjoyed my time with myself. So hey.
Oh, LaJune, I love talking to you and I could talk to you for another hour all day. And I'll just be fine with that. But I know you got things to do because you
I
live
have
in your
another podcast after this.
You got another podcast.
Another interview after this. Yes.
Yes. So I want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your wisdom and for your book, because again, your book, Releasing My Trauma, The Root of Self-Sabotage. Get your copy. Amazon, or can they order it through your website?
No, Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
She was like, no, baby, I got big things. I don't got time to be shipping it. Go through
Kindle, Google Play, I think it's Kobo and a whole bunch of other places that is on. But if you want it like that, probably Amazon would be quicker for you.
Amazon will be quick.
Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Got mine the next day.
Ingram Books is another one. So yeah.
So you know where to go. And Amazon, Barnes and Noble, everywhere else, Google Books, Kindle, whatever you got, just get it. If you're going through this, if you've been through this, know that you're not alone. And please take care of yourself, people. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. LaJune, I wish you much continued success. And when you meet Oprah, you just send me that picture and be like, I did it.
We'll do. Because you'll be right next to me, so it'll be three. It'll be a three pick. So.
It'll be three of us, and I'll be cheesing. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I will also have the link to LaJune's website and where to get her book. And hopefully, if she gives us her schedule of when she's doing her book tour, you'll also have access to that and get your.
I'll be in Atlanta on the 9th, April 9th. So,
April 9th in Atlanta.
Yes.
All right. And where in Atlanta will you be?
It is JW Marriott near Lenox.
All right, y'all. JW Marriott. She'll be there. Bring your book. She may sign it for you if you're really nice. And she don't know I'm about to mail mine to her just so she can sign it and send it back. And she'll be like,
come on, mail it. If you want to mail it. One of my friends, we were at dinner and she's like, you never signed my book. I was at your house. So you could have brought your book out for me to sign. So. And I've met people in the parking lot in Maryland, so I will sign your book for you. That's how grateful I am that you purchased it. And men grab it as well. I just did an interview this week, and the guy bought it, and he said he could relate, and it was life changing for him. So
it is life changing, y'all. So tune in next time. Love you, LaJune. Love you, everybody. Be safe. Peace.